Hey, hey, what's going on? It's Sunshine.
And E.
All right.
Hey, we're back again. More reaction videos to stuff you didn't know about.
Yeah.
But you're going to know right now.
These history stories. Some of these history stories were interesting. Then there's maybe one or two that not so much. It's probably, if you're a history buff, it all would be, you would love it. But I just like the interest in when it's real interesting, like, wow, that kind of thing. But so they didn't all wow me. But let's see, this is number one, so I'm hoping it will. So let's get into this before we
5-1.
5-1. Okay. Let's get this. Before we do it for you, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Also share, comment below. So come on, let's go.
Number 1. 11 years before Chernobyl, there was the Kishtim nuclear disaster. It's now classified as the third biggest nuclear disaster the world has ever seen. However, modern estimates believe the secrecy surrounding the 1957 event may have led to us to underestimate just how dangerous it was. The event was the first major nuclear disaster, and it was a moment in history that both the Soviet Union and the United States intelligence services didn't want the world to know about. The disaster took place at a facility known as Mayak near the town of Kishtim in the eastern Urals. Mayak was the size of a small city and was key to the Soviets' nuclear program. It's believed to be here where the first Soviet nuclear weapons were developed. We know today that it was the plutonium production site for nuclear weapons and a nuclear fuel reprocessing site. Safety at the facility was unsurprisingly lacking, which resulted in radiation sickness for thousands of workers and many living in the surrounding villages. Waste would often be dumped in the nearby river, and those living downstream would suffer the consequences of that. Mayak itself was top secret and even erased from Russian maps until relatively recently. But those living near the facility knew something dangerous was going on there. But when on September 19, 1957, bluish-violet lights appeared in the night sky, it was excused as strangely southern polar lights. Coincidentally, the government required those living in the area to terminate their livestock, bury their crops, and plow their fields. Large amounts of earth were dug up and piled away from the villages. Unsurprisingly, it didn't take long for locals to connect the two events. It took much longer for evacuation orders to be given out, but over the following years, thousands of people were moved from the surrounding villages. What had really happened was that a cooling system had failed without anybody noticing. Unlike Chernobyl or Fukushima, there was no effort to try to stop the disaster from occurring. The failure caused nuclear waste to heat up to around 350 degrees Celsius. A chemical explosion occurred, and the nuclear waste was catapulted hundreds of kilometers across the surrounding areas. Unlike Chernobyl, the effects were relatively local, so it took a while for the Western world to catch wind of what had happened. By 1960, though, the CIA had satellite images and enough information to piece together what had happened. However, any reports were kept secret. Even when a whistleblower from the Soviet Union tried to expose what had happened, he was ridiculed by the US government laboratories, who didn't want the public to become scared of nuclear power. With the settling of the Cold War, though, the secret, true history of Kishtim was finally acknowledged. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Yeah, that one, it's weird how a lot of times, it's just not even government things like this, but even privately owned things where they contaminate water and do things and they just hide it and keep it in secret and know people are getting sick. And I guess for them, it's just as far as their their military defense, making nuclear weapons and things of that nature. But the other time, sometimes just because of capitalism or making money, that they're willing to do some things. And this is weird that you would think that it will ultimately affect somebody seem like, if you dumping stuff in the river or, stuff get into the soil and it gets into the crops and stuff like that. Seem like you would, think eventually it hit somebody I love, but, I guess.
Yeah, and as that top secret now, what do you do with your families that it may affect? Did they actually tell their own family, or were they barred from telling your family?
Well, I think it's one of those things where they won't tell them, but just keep them out of harm's way type deal. Hopefully they have some degree of reality of feeling some certain way about their family members and keep them out that harm's way. But I think as technology grows
and everybody else go to pot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, as technology grows and grows, I think a lot of these things it'd be a lot harder to do top secret things, which maybe we'll do something on UFOs because that just sparks it. It just seemed like with everybody having camera phones and all technology, cameras everywhere, it seemed like they would be catching more UFOs. Back when they had nothing, you have some guy in the middle of nowhere, I tell a story or you get a funny picture, or it seems like now they'd be all over the place. So
I think they are.
Unless they're so intelligent that they know our intelligence and they stay out the way. That's the only thing I can think of. That's the only thing that makes sense. Because I'm just saying, if someone comes down the middle of, Nebraska or something, and they see, and seem like if they done it there, they did it several other times, and it seemed like someone would actually pull out a camera and get it. But so I don't know. Maybe we'll do something on UFOs because that's
But the thing about that is that let's do something on UFOs. Is that because of technology, people fabricate that.
Oh, okay.
What they're actually seeing.
What you mean, like it's like Photoshop some stuff and stuff like that?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
And see, so then you don't know what's real and what's not, because.
But usually they got technology to detect whether or not they Photoshop something or whatever. They can find out what the original.
You and I won't know that.
Yeah,
someone who
right.
is, would. So
I'm interested too because I like doing things on UFOs because there are some people that almost dedicate their life to studying it and talking about it and think it's real and think it's. See, I wonder right now, are they getting a lot more information than they did, 30 years ago, 40 years ago? That's just kind of interesting to know. But well, that was a 5, and that was the number one. Actually, I think number 2. I think I liked the best.
What was number 2?
I think that's the one with the ship. Where I think that was the one out of 5
probably
I liked the best.
More,
that one,
more
then the one on the mountain where they hit the plutonium. That was pretty decent. But I thought that would get better, but for me it didn't matter. Some people that's really history buffs, they may say this is a good order. So
I'm just thinking. I'm not saying it wasn't good videos. It was just you didn't give us on some of them. You didn't give us enough information.
Right.
To actually speak upon. So that's why I'm kind of like, I need a little bit more.
Okay. It's funny, a lot of stuff happened in the 60s, seem like. But let us know what y'all think. We're going to get out of here. Before we do me a favor, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Also share, comment below, and I do believe that's it.
That is it. Thanks for listening to
Sunshine
Sunshine and E.